James Mennie of the Montreal Gazette is here. Hello, sir.
Hello, Dan.
So let's start with the poll numbers. You know I love my polls, but I do have to say, when you see the approval rating for the Prime Minister fall off a cliff in just a matter of days, I mean, you literally see the graph, and it does look very cliffy from 21 to 16% in just a couple of days. You have to wonder what's really going on there.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I did a double take. I just want to be clear here. When I'm looking at this, I'm looking right now at his approval numbers for Trudeau. He's at 22, and his disapproval numbers are at 74, which gives him a net rating of minus 52 compared to, like, I think plus 13 for St-Pierre Plamondon, which is nothing to write home about. But when we come to 16% is what, and I did a double take, which is why I made sure that you guys knew about this, that I want to talk about it. I'm told in Angus Reid that the only people who've done worse was during, actually no, that came close. We're back in the battle days of Michael Ignatieff, when everybody and their dog was a philosopher king, and the party was perceived as being so utterly unconnected, out to lunch, and indifferent that the rest is history, or perhaps if you prefer Stephen Harper. But all that said, I got to tell you. There's I guess a crystallization here of not about what is right, not about what we're happy about, but what we don't like, which I think is even more dangerous. I don't really care if Trudeau hangs around or not. If he hangs around, he'll blow up the Liberal Party and everybody with it, and I firmly believe it'll take at least not a couple of terms. It's going to take a generation to rebuild any kind of trust in that party. When it turns out that you can turn around, take it over, turn it into your personal a social engineering chemistry set, even though you haven't the slightest idea of how to be a social engineer, which is exactly what Trudeau did. Well, and here we are. But what really concerns me above and beyond everything else is that when people are united in their negativity and are really sort of like focusing on what's wrong, even the most outrageous, demonstrable falsehoods from Pierre Poilievre, who says, Canada is broken. Well, what parts? All of it. It's all broken. It doesn't work. None of it works. That's absolute rubbish. But you're more prone to sort of get into that rather wobbly canoe with Monsieur Poilievre when you consider the alternative, which is really, really strange. Up until now, I think to a certain extent, the only playable card in Trudeau's hand was that he wasn't Pierre Poilievre, that his supporters, and certainly his online trolls, could turn around and say, look, if you vote for this guy, you're a traitor and it's foreign interference, and look what he's going to do. He is going to turn, it's going to be MAGA North. What are you doing? That card seems to have been torn up. That card now seems to be, it flips the other way. If you keep Trudeau in power, you're going to have more of the same. And the problem is, even though, as far as I'm concerned, Pierre Poilievre's claims the country is broken are completely untrue, a lot of what Justin Trudeau has sunk his fingers into is broken. So whether it's the public's trust of this government, whether it's gun control, immigration, the economy, the so-called very interesting brand of feminism that Justin Trudeau seems to exhibit with women who, how can I put it, don't see things the boss's way. All of this, I think, is creating a very dark and dangerous cloud over our politics, and not just federally. I think when you get used to turning around and saying, I don't like this guy because of A, B, and C, and you've got good reasons for it, but it becomes part of almost your daily routine, Dan, I think we're in a very, very bad place. And God help anyone who's qualified, anyone who has any idealism left, anyone who intends to try and reach out to the Canadian public and receive anything resembling a fair hearing after months of hearing a lot of voters, a lot of politicians, a lot of liberals in this country banging their heads against the wall because, quite frankly, Justin Trudeau is, as I said earlier, Justin Trudeau is squatting in the federal Liberal Party the way, a squatter occupies a refrigerator box.
We were talking last week, James. I'll just reiterate. I don't think it's happening this week. I'm not sure about you, but I don't think it's going to happen for several weeks, maybe even into the spring.
I don't think he has that kind of time, and I think there are people out there who still have his ear. I think there are people out there, and plus, what's clear to me is Justin Trudeau he does have a galactic-sized ego. But to hear these poll results every day, to hear that more and more people who you didn't think were even thinking about you are thinking about you, and they don't much care for you. The fact that he has already written his name in Canadian political history with a big, gray crayon. I mean, I've said it before. There will be public buildings named after a prime minister named Trudeau. There still will be. The thing is, his first name won't be Justin. This guy has left zero legacy behind him for the Liberal Party, and as far as I'm concerned, for the Canadian people, other than a very, very, very sour taste in their mouth of somebody who clearly thinks that being a prime minister is somewhat akin to being a king. And even though our parliamentary system sort of gives credence to that, people don't like it when you try and play that card. I think that's exactly what he's doing. I think even his most loyal advisors are really thinking twice about where to put their loyalties. And don't forget, up until a couple of weeks ago, Chrystia Freeland was perceived as one of his most loyal followers, and we saw what that got her. The guy's got nothing going for him. I just wish. I mean, you're probably right. It'll be later. I'm not sure about the spring, Dan. But I just really, truly wish it was sooner, and I'm pretty sure I have a lot of company on that.
Real quick, another survey that caught my attention. Some in media were saying that Paul St-Pierre Plamondon, according to the Léger survey, is the most popular politician in Quebec. Now, I look at the numbers. He has 43% in likability, tied with Christian Dubé, but François Legault is only at 42%. So I don't think that really is very convincing in terms of PSPP's popularity.
I think a lot of what we've seen with the PQ, and this is not just a matter of my disagreeing with their platform, Dan. I think a lot of what we're seeing with the PQ is what we have to be very careful of in the future at any level of politics. The more you are exposed in media, social, traditional, mainstream, or otherwise, the more you will score in polls, if only because people know who you are. We've seen St-Pierre Plamondon shoot up after the double cross from the third link a year ago in October, and since then the CAC and Legault haven't recovered. He hasn't done anything extraordinary. He hasn't said anything remarkable other than behaving like a well-reasoned politician. And occasionally he will fly off the handle, but by and large, Paul St-Pierre Plamondon seems like an ordinary kind of normal person, an honest politician who knows most Quebecers do not approve of his party's raison d'etre, but he still sticks with it. So in that regard, he scores points in the polls as well. But in the end, if someone came along who was an even bigger Boy Scout, if someone came along who said even more interesting things or more inspiring things, I think he or she would absolutely overtake any of the people we see in these polls. And I think that's the real problem that we're facing. It's not so much an indication of, how can I put it, founded popularity of people turning around, they're well, if an election was held today. No. It really, the question isn't if an election was held today. It's like, who of these people do you like the best? It's a popularity contest. And yes, that's exactly what politics is. But all that said, I try not to read too much into these kind of boutique polls that Léger just revels in publishing, or indeed even the monthly party popularity polls. We see how they can switch back and forth, and we also see how important it is for whatever party you're in charge of, be it the CAC or indeed the federal Liberals. If you don't change the narrative, if you're incapable of changing the channel on what really seems to be your own political demise, guess what? The theoretical will happen, and not just by chance. It will be inevitable, and that's exactly what seems to be happening to Justin Trudeau this week.
Quick pop quiz on the way out, James. Who do you think is the most productive legislator in Quebec over the past quarter century?
Quarter century? Well, yikes. I'd certainly say in this latest regime, believe it or not, Simon Jolin Barrette, in terms of the amount of legislation,
Good
and
guess.
not all of it contemptible. some of it quite good. The changing in the sexual assault courts, that system. But you know what? I probably have the answer, but I got to tell you, Dan, right now, in the past quarter century, I really couldn't tell you. I know that when it comes to being an administrator, a premier, a person who got things done, I really think nobody could touch Jean Charest then and now. But like I said, I wish I could give you a better answer, but honestly, it's a pretty broad canvas, and I don't have that much paint right now.
No, it's a tough question. It was a study done by Canadian Press, and it was a minister under the Charest government who was the most productive. Thank you, James.